Good morning and welcome to the 2020 URICA Convocation. What is URICA, you might ask? At Bethel College, URICA stands for Undergraduate Research Internships and Creative Activity, where you can connect your ideas to real-world solutions through research, from your first day as a freshman all the way through your senior thesis. At Bethel College, you can have the opportunity to perform cutting-edge research side by side with faculty or peers, contributing to the research on topics such as concussions and mental illness, and potentially becoming published in an undergraduate journal. Gain direct experience with the methods and processes of inquiry within your own discipline. During the last Friday in April, the URICA Symposium takes place on campus, where we celebrate the many forms of an in-depth individual research or creative endeavors college-wide, including such things as senior thesis presentations, culminating recitals and art shows, and lecture performances with digital recordings or images. There are many ways to become involved in research at Bethel College. Bethel's undergraduate research program is based on collaboration between students and faculty and between students and other students. There are many ways to conduct research at Bethel, through class-oriented projects, directed studies, or even senior seminars, which pair you with a faculty member to develop and implement an original research project. Welcome to the 2020 URICA Convocation, and please enjoy the presentations.
Hi, I'm Adam Croker, and for my URICA presentation, I want to explain a little bit about my senior project. So for my senior project, I've been working on my own visual interpretation of Mozart's Requiem. So you might be asking yourself, what's a Requiem? Well, a Requiem is a Catholic mass for the dead, and it usually incorporates similar liturgy with each mass session. And so Mozart's Requiem is a musical adaptation of that liturgy. And so for my project, I've been listening to Mozart's Requiem, and for each movement, I made a specific painting to accompany that movement. As you can see behind me are two that are in progress right now. For my Requiem, I'm trying to create a linear story about the struggles of mankind. So within my Requiem, I kind of address specific issues that I see with out in the world today, specifically social justice issues, and some of those movements that I have speak directly to those issues that I see out in the world today. And so each of my paintings are 4 foot by 3 foot, which is kind of a lot. I have to do 12 in total, and this summer I was able to complete 7 of those, thanks to the help with the URICA Grant, and also, well, we kind of got to go home a little bit early this year. So, yeah. I have my sketchbook here. I've been using my sketchbook a lot to help formulate ideas. I don't know if you can see it, but I use it a lot to write and to come up with my compositions that I later use a projector to put up onto my canvas, which I can then trace and just get going painting. So yeah, I have a few pictures that I'd like to share. So here's an example of some of my sketchbook pages where I'm just kind of outlining what the movement of that what that song and the Requiem means, kind of what the lyrics are speaking to, and then adapting it into my own interpretation. I've also got 2 pictures here. They're both cropped of paintings that I completed this summer. This is my Agnus Dei, and this is my Lacrimosa painting. Yeah, I've been kind of keeping this all under wraps a little bit, so I just thought I'd share a cropped version of my painting. But yeah, That's my senior project. It's, uh, it's been a lot, but it's also been really good, and I'm really thankful to be able to share with you my vision and ideas. Um, I'll be having a gallery in the spring, which will kind of show all my pieces together for the first time. And I'd love if you were able to come. Thanks so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Elena Wallace and I am one of the URICA Grant recipients for this school year. And the title of my presentation is An Analysis of the Influence of the Dental Provider-Patient Interactions on the Patient's Dental Anxiety, Satisfaction, and Retention. I am a senior natural science major, also receiving minors in chemistry, psychology, and a neuroscience certificate. My plans after Bethel are to attend University of Missouri, Kansas City School of Dentistry to receive my DDS, where I have a seat saved for me starting in the fall of 2021. So, given my interest in dentistry, that is where my topic exploration began for my senior seminar. Since I have been pursuing dental school for many years now, I tend to read a lot of articles about dentistry and clearly have an overall interest for the subject. I really enjoy my psychology classes and find this subject extremely fascinating, which is why my project began in search of something that combined my two main interests, dentistry and psychology. One clear topic that emerges from this is dental anxiety. This idea then grew into patients' perception of the dentist and different behaviors of the dentist. The dentist might have every intention of making the patient comfortable, but the patient might perceive the behaviors as frightening. Not only is the oral health of the patient an important aspect of dentistry, but so is creating an optimal environment and experience for the patient. This progression of topic exploration during my junior year led me to land on the importance of the dentist-patient interaction. One key aspect of an interaction is verbal communication. I knew the direction I wanted to go for my senior seminar, so my junior year, my research assistants and I designed a pilot study to provide data to set me up for my senior seminar. We conducted a word association study entitled The Emotional Valence of Dental-Related Terms. During this study, we asked participants to rate dental terms that a dentist might use, as well as procedures that could occur in a dental office for the participants to rate. The goal of this study was to determine how people felt about certain words and procedures. This data would later help me in my present study. So when you're a science major, you have to write what is called a literature review section for your final paper, which basically explores previous research on the subject, so kind of like a long research paper for your class. So I'll just cover a few of the main topics that I think you might find most interesting. As I've mentioned, one important part of a dental visit is the interaction between a patient and their dentist. One major factor in the interaction between a patient and their dentist is trust. Another major factor is creating a positive interaction, including the patient in the decision-making process and asking if they have any questions. Patients also value ethics and effective communication. Sundahl and Saderfelt in 1997 explored various dentist-patient communication models. Some of the models discussed included emotional exchange, informational exchange, and relationship-building exchange. These researchers also identified underlying dimensions in the dentist-patient interaction, as well as these communication models. Some additional items discussed include showing agreement, sharing information, the dental condition, personal remarks, and social conversation. Dental anxiety is an important issue when discussing dentist-patient interaction. Not only can dental anxiety lead to a deterioration in patients' overall oral health, it can both influence and be influenced by the dentist-patient interaction. If a patient suffers from moderate to severe dental anxiety and is about to begin a procedure but becomes extremely anxious when they see dental instruments, this could potentially cause the dentist to become behind schedule because they're spending more time with this patient, which could cause the dentist to become a little antsy and frustrated. And this negativity from the dentist could cause an increase in dental anxiety for the patient, thus creating a cycle of influence between dental anxiety and the dentist-patient relationship. This is a major connection I plan to investigate in my research. There are multiple dental anxiety scales used in dentistry research. Cora and researchers developed the Cora Dental Anxiety Scale in 1978, which is a brief four-question questionnaire. Later, this was adapted by Humphreys and researchers in 1995 and was given a new name for the more developed version entitled the Modified Dental Anxiety Scale, which is what I decided to use in my study. Although other dental anxiety measurement tools and scales exist, the Cora Dental Anxiety Scale and the very similarly modified dental anxiety scale are the two most common measures used in dentistry research. So I plan to have a sum of vignettes or scenarios that are about 30 seconds each in length, and then following each vignette will be 5 questions asking about dental anxiety, satisfaction, retention, feelings about the interaction, and feelings about the procedure, all which are based on the scenario that the participant just read, where they will assume the role of the patient. The vignettes vary on type of interaction between the dentist and the patient, as well as varying on the type of procedure that is performed. The second section of my survey and methods is the Modified Dental Anxiety Scale, which is a 5-question questionnaire. And this is an important part of my survey and methods, as it is a scale commonly used in other research, which adds a sense of verifiability to my research, as well as a way to compare dental anxiety of different populations through a well-validated and researched method. Section 3 of my survey will include questions that I, along with my research assistants, have identified as relevant to the research. These questions are pertaining to experiences and preferences of the participant in a dental office setting. Section 4 is the demographics section of my survey, where we will be able to make connections to certain demographics and certain trends that we see throughout our data. So my next step is to finalize my survey and submit my IRB, which is basically the process where Bethel approves your research project. My next step is to finish coding my survey so that all you have to do is click on the link and it just runs itself and then sends me the data at the end. And remember that I want to be a dentist and not a coder, so this is one of the more challenging parts of my project for me. And then my next step is to send my survey out to all of you. So why apply for the URICA Grant? The URICA Grant gives you the opportunity to start your senior seminar, project, research, creative activity, whatever you're working on, early. You can have a head start before school even begins. You can gain research experience or experience in whatever field or discipline you are pursuing. This is especially valuable when you are applying to graduate schools or even just as a leadership example when you're applying to a job. Friends, the URICA Grant is money. You apply and the school gives you money to pursue one of your goals. That's a win-win. This is a phenomenal opportunity and resource for Bethel students, and I would encourage all of you to consider applying and talking more about it with your advisor. I have many people I'd like to thank for their support and guidance so far in this project. Specifically, I'd like to thank my faculty mentor and advisor, Dr. Dwight Crable. I'd like to thank the faculty mentor and advisor for my junior seminar and pilot study, Dr. Rachel Messer. I would also like to thank Dr. Brad Celestin, as well as my research assistants, Mickey Harkins, Evelyn Manresa, and Maddie Harkins. I'd also like to give a huge thank you to the URICA committee for selecting me as the URICA Grant recipient and for allowing me to share my progress with my peers. And here are my references, and I'm really looking forward to answering any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Madeline Noctegal, and I'm a senior majoring in natural sciences with a minor in psychology and Spanish. My senior thesis project that I have received the URICA Grant for is titled An Examination of Mastery, Motivation, and Attachment Style in Preschool-Aged Children. So how did I go about picking my topic? So throughout my first couple of years here at Bethel, I was always interested in learning about attachment styles in both childhood and adulthood. I've also been consistently interested in intrinsic drive and how we remain motivated to perform well in school, sports, and beyond. I'm planning to attend medical school after graduation, and I think this topic can definitely apply to the medical field. For example, if a patient is highly motivated to do well in different areas of their lives, they are probably also motivated to take care of themselves by going to the doctor regularly and adhering to treatment. Some of you may not know who this is, but Dr. Rachel Messer was a psychology professor here at Bethel, and she actually introduced me to this idea last year. I had been exploring a wide range of topics, but this is the one that actually stuck with me. I've always enjoyed working with kids, and I just think studying a demographic group as susceptible to change as kids are is just fascinating. So, what are we actually talking about when we mention these terms? So mastery motivation is defined as a psychological force that stimulates an individual to attempt independently to solve a problem or master a skill which is at least moderately challenging for him or her. So there's still research being done on attachment styles, but there are three main commonly accepted styles, and attachment overall is defined as the specific aspect of the relationship between a child and caregiver that is involved with making the child feel safe, secure, and protected. A secure attachment style is one in which the child feels confident in their knowledge that they can freely express negative emotion, which will elicit comforting from the caregiver. An avoidant attachment style is characterized by a caregiver who consistently responds to distress in insensitive or rejecting ways, resulting in the child avoiding the caregiver in times of need. This style is the most likely to increase the risk of developmental adjustment problems. An anxious, preoccupied attachment style is characterized by a caregiver who responds in inconsistent and unpredictable ways, resulting in the child displaying extreme negative emotion to draw the attention of their caregiver. This strategy is also associated with a risk for social and emotional maladjustment. So even before 3 to 4 years of age, the degree to which the primary caretaker responds positively to infant distress actually provides positive feedback for mastery attempts, which is exactly the age group I'll be looking at. And then also in preschool age children, parenting style is correlated with school readiness, with mastery motivation being a key moderator in this relationship. Additionally, growing research has shown that a child's mastery motivation stays relatively constant over time. And all of the authors that you see below are the ones that I have gathered this information from. Obviously, I have a lot more in my literature review, but those are just some of the basic ideas. So methods, how am I going about doing my current study? So I plan to send an informed consent and attachment style survey home with the kids a week in advance of data collection. The task they'll do a week later includes building a block tower from a picture I show them. So the picture I have is obviously not quite the representation, but similar. What they won't know is actually that the task is close to impossible, because the tower will be tall and unstable, but I will ask them to finish it completely. I will then observe the time it takes for them to give up on building. I'm also planning to observe the amount of times they use social referencing and seek social support, which is defined as the process by which infants use the affective displays of an adult to regulate their behaviors toward environmental objects, persons, and situations. So seeking social support would include something like verbally asking for help with the task, to which I would reply, I cannot help you. So, and then the attachment style survey will contain a Likert number scale, which I will then compare to the quantitative data from the experiment to determine correlations between the two. Okay, so what are my next steps toward this research? I am very close to submitting my IRB, which is necessary for all research involving human and or animal participants. And then I plan to solidify my operational definitions for the data collection portion, so that it will include outlining exactly what I will consider social referencing, seeking social support, and giving up on the task. And then next, I plan to do a trial run on just one child to see how the experiment will theoretically run with a whole preschool class. And then finally, I will collect data and go on to analyze it. So where does the URICA grant come into all of this? Guys, it's free money. You get money, and the department that you're doing research in gets a small amount of money as well. So this could be helpful if you need to financially compensate your participants, could be helpful for materials to run the experiment or for software to run data analysis or anything else you could potentially need. Also, since the grant is typically applied at the beginning of the summer, there's much less pressure to get a part-time job. So with the extra money, you can actually focus on working on your project and just getting a head start to make the school year less stressful during your senior year. And lastly, it's super easy to apply. Essentially, all you have to do is write a short essay describing what your project is, why it's important, and why you think you deserve the grant. So I definitely recommend the URICA Grant to anyone wanting free money and a head start on their senior thesis project. Lastly, I would like to say thank you to some important people that have helped me get to this point. So first, I'd like to thank Dr. Rachel Messer for inspiring the idea and helping in the early planning stages. I would also like to thank Dr. Brad Celestin for being willing to advise my project and help me through it. And lastly, I want to extend a huge thank you to the URICA committee for seeing the value of my project and awarding me the grant. I truly couldn't do this without all of you, and I feel very grateful to have such smart and supportive people backing me. I hope you've all enjoyed my presentation today, and thank you all for listening. I'd love to answer questions if you have any, so shoot those my way, let me know, and hope you all have a great day.
Hi guys, my name is Winter Rentes. I am a senior biology major here at Bethel. I am one of the URICA Grant recipients for this year, and I am here to tell you a little bit about my senior project. My project is titled Antimicrobial Properties of Dog Saliva. The goal of my project is to determine if there is a decrease in bacterial growth once 3 bacteria are exposed to canine saliva. In order to test this hypothesis, I have gathered samples of saliva from 5 different dogs, in which are all male neuters of various ages with only grade 1 dental diseases. I chose all male dogs in order to keep my experiment consistent. I then will take these 5 dog saliva samples and expose them to the 3 bacteria. Hoping, if my hypothesis is true, we will see that in the areas where the saliva samples were placed, there is no bacterial growth, thus showing us that canine saliva does possess antimicrobial properties. I currently am in the process of conducting my experiment and have not been able to gather any results yet. I plan to be done with the experiment by the end of October of this year. The reason I have chose to work with canine saliva is because my future career path is to become a veterinarian, and after my time at Bethel, I am planning on leaving to veterinary medicine school. It also happens to be that dogs are my favorite animals, and since I work in an animal hospital, I am always around them. It has been that studies that have tested canine saliva have not been performed a lot, which also interested me in wanting to do this project even more. The idea came to me when I was at work one day, and throughout the day, I would see dogs constantly attempting to lick their incision and surgery sites. So then, as a vet tech, we were required to put a cone around them so that they couldn't reach back and reopen their wounds. It wasn't necessarily so that they didn't infect it more with their tongues. By this time, I knew that I had to do this for my senior project. I had to see what was the linkage between dogs wanting to always go back and lick their wounds. Was it because it was irritated? Was it because their saliva had some type of properties that would help heal their wounds? So this was the whole reason that I wanted to even look into this project. Along the way, I have faced some roadblocks during the process of doing my project. One of them being COVID-19. In a lot of places at the beginning when I started my experiment were enforcing rules that outsiders could not come into clinics. So this made it hard for me to at first find dogs that I wanted to sample and use their saliva because I couldn't actually see the dogs and I couldn't examine their teeth. I couldn't examine their mouths. So I had to wait a while to collect those samples. Then I started to connect with some different veterinarians in the area, and I finally found a veterinarian to work with. We spent about 2 months in the summer trying to find a method that would be most effective for collecting the amount of saliva that I needed. Because at first, we had the toughest time trying to collect the saliva because I tried to use a plastic pipette to stick in a dog's mouth, And if anyone has dogs or know what dogs do, anything that goes in their mouth, they want to try and chew and eat. So that by far was unsuccessful. So after 2 months, we have finally now came up with a successful way of collecting saliva. I'm now at the point in my project where I am working on streaking bacteria and then exposing the saliva to the bacteria. The ongoing process of my project has been a unique and learning experience for me. I'm very happy that I chose this project for myself. I mean, who wouldn't want to spend their whole senior project working with dogs? It's literally the best. Applying for this grant has also allowed me to connect with people I wouldn't have came in contact with before. I have used some of the money to help get myself out there in the veterinary world. Having now been exposed to both large and small animal practices, it has truly been a blessing for me that without the extra funds that URICA provided for me, I wouldn't have been able to do on my own. I now have connected with vets around the area in which have taken me under their wing and have taught me new things that I didn't know before. This has helped give me the additional experience that I needed before I leave for vet school. The grant money has also been very useful for me when it comes to buying additional supplies when a trial and error goes wrong and I've used all my supplies and I need more. It has helped me so that I have those extra funds to go buy more. It has also provided me with the gas money that I need to travel to and from school since I commute, so that I can work on my project whenever need be. I want to again thank you guys for taking the time to listen in on this convo video, and for the URICA committee for selecting my project, Antimicrobial Properties of Dog Saliva, as a recipient. Thank you for watching.